All right, whenever you're ready, please.
Awesome. All right, hi everyone. First, I really want to thank you guys for coming out here. We really know that you don't have to be here, and we really appreciate that you're taking time out of your day to listen to our presentation. I'm Sam Ditson. I'm a senior at Highland Park High School, and I'm going to be a freshman at Duke University next year.
My name is Jeremy Langsam. I'm also a senior at Highland Park High School, and I'll be attending Vanderbilt University next year. We're two seniors. We're currently enrolled in engineering, design, and development, where we're spending the year trying to tackle one specific problem that we've identified and looking for a way that we could engineer a potential solution for it.
All right, so our problem is a problem that I'm sure you're all familiar with, and that's the problem of drunk driving in the United States. So drunk driving is a very pervasive problem, and I'm also sure you're familiar with some of the government efforts to combat it. But despite these efforts from the government, what we see is that the problem is still pervasive, and in 2016 there were 1,017,808 DUI arrests. And what we see is that this problem is amplified even further at and around sporting events, where that according to CBS in 2016, about 1 in 12 sports fans drive under the influence after sporting events. We found both of these statistics staggering and wanted to attack the problem.
Now, when we looked at some of the solutions in the status quo, one of the main solutions is a portable breathalyzer. So that's just something that you could actually buy. You could take it around with you, and then after you've drank, you can blow into it, and it will display what your blood alcohol content is. Now, this is an extremely beneficial solution, as it does provide you with the information necessary to know if you're able to drive or not, but it puts a lot of dependence upon people to be willing to spend the around $100, $150 that it costs for one of these breathalyzers, and then to use it and take the information to heart and really decide if you are able to drive or not.
Now, conversely to the portable breathalyzer, apps like Uber, Lyft, or any type of public transportation don't provide the consumers with awareness of their blood alcohol content, but what they do provide them is a vehicle to get home safely and not have to drive. The downside of Uber, Lyft, or any other type of public transportation is that the user would then have to leave their car wherever they left it when they drove to the sporting event, bar, or restaurant that they drank at.
And the last solution that I'm sure you guys are familiar with is, of course, government efforts. Now, that would include the law, which prohibits driving under the influence, which attempts to be one of the most solid solutions, but as we're seeing in the status quo, it simply isn't. But also PSAs or signs along the highway that warn against the dangers of driving under the influence, which again are beneficial in raising awareness, but fail to actually prevent people from taking these actions.
So next, we conducted some market research to get a better understanding of our problem. And first, once we conducted our widespread survey, first we found that 94.3% of people are looking for a solution, a more solvent solution to get home after drinking, because they aren't satisfied with the mediums in the status quo like Uber, Lyft, or public transportation, not only because they have to leave their car there, possibly get a ticket, get towed, they won't have their car to go to work in the morning, but also there's some social pressures when you have to take these different avenues of getting home if you are with a group and you decide that you're unable to drive home. Next, we found that 97.7% of people are unaware or uncertain of how drunk they really are. So that is all these people that are kind of in limbo, whereas to the understanding of if they are actually okay to drive themselves home or not. And that's a really dangerously high percent of people that aren't really sure if they're okay to drive or not. And then finally, we just want to address that this problem really truly is global. It's not just in our community, not just in our city, and not just in our country. Anywhere where there are vehicles and where there are alcohol, there are DUIs.
So in doing our research, we consulted with some experts. One of the first experts that we talked to was Officer Saldano. He's currently a police officer and has been for many years. And one of the main things that we talked to him about that we found extremely important was that around 50% of people who are arrested for DUIs are actually driving alone, which means that if they weren't to take part in driving under the influence, their only other potential solution would be to leave their car at a bar or a sporting event where they're at risk of getting their car towed or getting a parking ticket, or even just having to pay the cost of getting home another way and then getting back to the car the next day to pick it up.
The next expert we talked to was lawyer Mr. Michael Bain, and what he did is he gave us very valuable insights into the law surrounding driving under the influence, what we can and can't do when trying to provide a solution, and also insights into how to create an insurance for a solution once we had provided that. So he's been really providing valuable insights from start to where we are now.
Another expert we talked to was Simon Conk, an avid sports attendee who really just validated the problem, talked about how much at sporting events he really saw that people are drinking and they're being reckless in their behavior, how much of that alcohol consumption then can lead to that driving, really just reinsure the problem that we were already investigating.
And then finally, our mentor, Aiden Combs, has been really working most closely with us throughout the project. She's working on a PhD in psychology and already has an undergraduate degree in engineering, and her guidance, not only throughout the problem stages of our project, but moving into the solution stages, has been invaluable to our team. Next, I want to walk through the solution that we have cooked up to try and attack driving under the influence. So what our solution is an app called Designated Driver, and what it does is it potentially would have two drivers in a car, kind of like Uber, waiting to be called upon from a customer. And then once the customer dials up through our app, they'll be notified, and the two drivers will come to our customer. One will drive their car home, and one will drive the user home. So what we see is that now we're solving the problem of where there's so many people that drive their car home because they need their car in the morning, or they don't want to leave it overnight at a bar, restaurant, or sporting event. And so now we're providing them with a solvent solution to not only get themselves home, but their car home.
So we made a little outline of what we think that our app could look like. So if you look to that first screen, it says, where are you going? And you see the person would be there, and the little black car over there, and the purple person, which just displays where your current location is. And you could type in your information or where you want to go. There's a little drop-down menu right there. It says your profile. That's me up there, Jeremy Langston, 4.99 stars. I'm very proud of that. And then it says your ride history. You can get help, coupons. Type in any of your basic information. Look at the settings. Now, if you were to go on with the app, you could type in the location. I typed in 46 Shade Tree Lane. And what would then come up, as you see on the next screen, is that the other drivers outlined with the purple circles that are potential there to actually pick you up are shown on the map then. And what's also displayed at the bottom, it's a little tough to see, is a menu which says how long it would take the driver to get you and when you would be estimated to get home, as well as the current estimated cost of how much the service would cost. And then of course the other option of if you're not with your car, it displays the other potential drivers, the cost it would take, and the time that it would be estimated that you would get home. If you're going with the app, you select a driver. It says that my driver is 3 minutes away. Obviously there is a lot of faith and dependence when you're asking someone else to drive you home and asking someone to take your car home. So you can find out a little more information about your driver profile. Sam Dinson, right over there, he's going to be picking me up. He has 106 rides with the app in 2 years, and you could also just read some of those recent reviews. He's extremely friendly and conversational. He's a great driver, got me home safely. It can really just personalize that driver and build up that relationship before you actually meet them, to really kind of build a foundation of trust before you meet this person and they start driving home. If you were to go on with the app, your driver arrives, you get a little notification, and then of course, giving your driver a nice tip after he does a great job.
Okay, so next we kind of want to detail our steps moving forward. So our first next major step is learning how to develop an app. Now, me and Jeremy both have some background in computer science and know how to code in Java, but we're by no means experts, and to make an app like this, we would definitely need to do research and learn how to code in iOS and Android and different types of platforms for an app. And so once we do that, we would move into the testing stages of an alpha and beta version of our apps, learn how to optimize programs and algorithms to connect the customers in our app with a driver and a potential other driver, and then finally, hopefully with the help of people like you, bring something like this to marketplace, and first really starting in metropolitan areas, maybe around those sporting events that we mentioned earlier in the presentation, restaurants, bars, places where there's a lot of people, and then if we get that far, see where we can go from there.
All right, lastly, we just want to, again, thank you guys all for coming out here. We know that you're volunteering, and we really do appreciate that, and all the feedback that you can and will give us is really just amazing in helping us move forward.